Hello and welcome to yet another OrbisDuctor build video. This one is about the Infinity build, and it is quite unique in that it's actually the only build I find myself wanting to use as often as my skill build. It's because it's so damn efficient. You can mop through so many units so quick for so long without any sort of downtime. It's an absolute blast. So with that, let's get into it. First, we start off with the Chatterbox for obvious reasons. As you keep hitting, you increase your rate of fire. It gets up to about 1100 RPMs. As you keep killing, you continue to refill your magazine automatically, as well as increasing the mag size. It comes with a boatload of crit, just shy of 30% in total, and now all you have to work on is both your damage and your survivability. So let's talk about the survivability next. Clearly I'm running a clutch build to help stay alive with perfect clutch on 511 gloves, but I also run the 511 backpack for an additional 10% extra incoming heal. That does make a huge difference. On the backpack, I run Vital and Spark. I only have 22k health, but if you find a good enough backpack and you have the right items, you could easily sit about 40k health there, pushing you up well over 250 total. And of course, ensure that you have an offensive mod slot on that 511 backpack. Then I run incredibly high health on my knees. Currently, I just have 17.9. It's a temporary knee set until I transfer over this 25k to try to get up as high as you can on your holster. This maxed out at 42.9. It basically capped it at that. Then we move on to the good old chest piece. I'm sitting at 58k. I could lastly one piece. Murakami gives another little 8% health, but restorative helps a lot as well. See, because the firewall tree gives you 30% as well, so does this, so that restores 60%, plus the additional 10% from the 2 511 pieces. That's a total of 66% health after every single kill. Armor is fairly irrelevant, except for when you're reloading. It's nice to have protected reload. And it's also worth noting that with the firewall tree, when your armor breaks, you burst everything around you into flames, which is very nice. And last but not least, for survivability, let's talk about this shield. This shield is absolutely awesome. I have the mod from the tree, basic mod, basic health mod, as well as shield skill power. Totals out to a whopping 440k, which is enough. Let's just put it that way. So now let's move into the damage. As the Chatterbox doesn't exactly do a boatload, the shield does actually help quite a bit. Basically, throughout the arc in front of you, 5% increased bonus damage for every enemy there. As well as the firewall tree, any enemy within 10 meters takes an additional 10% damage. With the striker drawn up, you're guaranteed spark. Make sure your health goes down before you pull up your shield. That way you get a nice solid berserk bonus. And last but not least on the importance list there, we have critical hit damage. Now, critical hit chance obviously has to be capped. Mine is capped at 60%. But it's worth noting that critical hit damage is huge. Okay, so I have 2-piece Sokoloff to gain 8% critical hit damage. I also have 1-piece Wyvern to gain another 7% critical hit damage. The nice thing about the Wyvern chest, including the 511 chest if you're unaware, that they have 2 offensive mod slots, and so your damage primarily ends up coming from critical hit damage. Maxing out critical hit chance ensures but more than half of your shots, or you're pulling an additional 62% in my case. Headshots are also obviously beneficial. So that means that it's 162% damage, with then on top of that you have Berserk, you have a guaranteed spark up, you have the shield damage based off of how many people are in front of your arc, you have the talent tree bonus as well for another 10%. And lastly, when it comes to PvE, make sure obviously your damage to elites is pretty goddamn high. Try to have the talent as well, but if you're going into PvP, I wouldn't suggest this build, as the Chatterbox windup is too slow. But what I would do is this build functionally with a vector. And by vector I mean a tactical vector, because a tactical vector has the highest damage per second in the game for a gun. Want to keep that reload time down, do something like fast hands, and you'll be reloading incredibly quickly. Last thing I want to mention is that the Sokoloff Holster is one of the better holsters in the game, especially because it has a talent and then 3 attributes slots. So you're able to get some solid crit damage or skill power or extra bonuses on top of the critical talent. So that is addressing the fundamental core hiccups in the game. It's taking care of damage, it's taking care of downtime, and it's taking care of survivability. And you can effectively just infinitely unload. So let me go ahead and scroll through all my gear. Otherwise, this is OrbisDuctor saying thanks for watching. Take care.